In yesterday's video, I shared 5 things you can do to increase sales to your e-commerce business, and that inspired me to record another video called Do Not Do These Things If You're an E-commerce Business Owner. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's like human psychology or what, but I feel like I typically get better views when I do the don't do this type video as opposed to the do this type video. So, hey, as e-commerce business owners, maybe we can leverage that knowledge because it is pretty darn consistent. We see it on the news too. Every time you turn on the news, it's like, oh my gosh, it's a big deal, whether it's a big deal or not, right? We're always used to seeing the red text at the bottom of the screen trying to make you think that the world's ending. But hey, guys, in today's video, it is all about not doing these things that I'm going to share with you. So why don't we get started? Real quick reminder, I run a free weekly print-on-demand giveaway. You can enter using the link at the top of the description. Also, down there in the description, you can find a link to my 8-day print-on-demand mini course delivered to you via email, completely free. And I've got a great print-on-demand Facebook group if you guys would like to join. All right, so the theme of this video, piggybacking off yesterday, again, is instead of do these things, it is don't do it. Okay, so this is somebody found the Nike font and they've said, don't do it. All right, so everything I'm going to share with you, basically learn from someone else's mistake that did do it and do the opposite. All right, the first one that I wanted to share, because this is of the utmost importance probably, is please, if you're selling things online, for instance, if you're trying to sell garlic presses online, which is where I got this image from Amazon, please do not use bad images. Now, bad is subjective, but I don't want to just tell you what not to do. I also want to show you an example of how you can improve upon something very easily. And this is something that many of us watching are probably guilty of doing at one point or another. And that is minor improvement you can make in about 10 seconds. Take your existing images, blow them up. All right. Now look behind me. On the left side, you see a kind of a small version of a garlic press. On the right side, all I did was I hit Control T and I expanded it and I made it bigger, and the software will blow it up for you. There is a little bit of degradation in quality, but it's okay. It's still better to sacrifice, a fraction of 1% of the quality to get the bigger image, because the real battle is when we're in search results and it's us and all of our competition, we want to get clicked. And I don't know what psychological trigger it is in people, but when we're shopping online, the bigger the image, the better, for sure. Okay. And actually, when you take a look at this is one of the top garlic press sellers on Amazon. Not only do they make the press really big, but they also include some freebies and they picture them in the main image to fill some of that white space. So it's almost like notice it doesn't say free, but it's almost like a subliminal message to the potential customer. Hey, you buy from us, you're getting some freebies, and customers love that 4-letter word, F-R-E-E. Tip number 2. This one was inspired by a call I had recently with a tier 10 Amazon merch seller. They were freaked out about getting some rejections, and I just want to tell you guys, don't lose sleep at night over rejections. Rejections are not all created equal. Some are much worse than others, okay? If you got a rejection because you maybe broke the content policy, and to me, there's really 2 content policies. There's the content policy that's like, hey, here's what's allowed, here's not what's allowed, talking about themes and niches. Like, for instance, if there's a war, don't make money off of other people's suffering and potential deaths, right? That's one of their rules. That's always been one of the rules. The other content policy is a little bit friendlier. It's like, hey, don't mention the quality of the product or that certain ways that it's going to be printed. You can't say the word neon, for instance, right? If you include the word neon, you're going to get a rejection, but that's not that bad. All right, everybody makes those mistakes. Of course, if you make too many of them, you may find yourself with your account closed, but don't lose sleep over it. Try to learn from your mistakes. Also, you can't say things like, oh yeah, high quality shirt, that's going to get you rejected. It used to be okay years ago, and then one day they said, you know what, no more. But also, if you're getting rejections for intellectual property infringement, then you are okay to lose sleep over it. You do not want to infringe. All right, you guys already knew that, but that is the type of rejection that will get you in some trouble. But anybody that's kind of new to Amazon merch, this one's for you. Don't do this, guys. Don't risk too much. And this is very generic advice. When I wrote this slide, I was thinking more along the lines of, for instance, right now, there are a lot of Ukraine-Russia conflict t-shirts and products being sold, and you kind of have to take calculated risks. Like, I know there are people whose Amazon merch accounts probably are collecting dust and they're wanting to give up. And if that's you and you want to go and sell some Ukraine themed shirts, like, you can go for it, right? We already know it kind of is very closely towing the content policy. Amazon merch, they tend not to get very like concrete in their, or explicit, very explicit in what's allowed, what's not allowed. You kind of just have to look at what's out there and get a feel for what's okay. But like, for instance, for my account, tier 200,000, like, I'm not touching it. You know what I mean? I'm staying away big time. But if you are in a lower tier, or you're in a high tier, but you're not making sales, or whatever, however you make sense of it in your head, that you're willing to risk, selling in this niche that's related to war, which, why is war even relevant? It's because, all the negatives, right, that come with it. You have to make up your mind if it's worth it to take these sort of calculated risks. Like, I'm not the arbiter of truth. Like, I just offer my opinions on the matter. I did a video earlier this week where I said, I will not be selling in this niche, but I'm also not going to judge people that do. It is risky, right? Like, if you want to sell a St. Patrick's Day shirt, you're okay. You don't have to guess. If you want to sell a war-related shirt, well, tomorrow you may not be okay. They can flip on a dime. We've seen them do it. Don't do this. Do not create one-and-done designs. What I mean by this is, let's say you spend an hour creating the perfect Easter t-shirt. Well, all the work you did to make one design, why not tweak it just a little bit? Maybe you just change the font and you keep everything else the same. Make 2 versions of it. Or maybe change your text around. Like, you got a great Easter bunny rabbit graphic, or a great Easter egg graphic, or something like that. Go do some niche research and see if there's other very similar sub niches that you can enter by just switching your text up, right? So all of a sudden you take one really good design that you worked super hard on, and you can make 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 different designs. And you might be like, but Ryan, I'm in tier 10, I can't upload them. But one day in the future, you're going to be tier 25, tier 100, 500, 1,000. You're going to have extra slots, and you're going to be happy that you took the time to create these extra designs, and it's going to cost you almost nothing relative to the time it took you to create that initial template, if you will. Next, don't be afraid to treat your business like a business. And I am certainly guilty of this probably today still to an extent, but was really guilty of this in the past. I think it was just my mom, honestly, like, was just not the type of person that liked to spend money. And so, of course, a little bit of that rubbed onto me. And I, later in life, fortunately, came around to the fact that sometimes it takes money to make money. So when I say treat your business like a business, what I'm really saying is don't be afraid to invest in yourself. Don't be afraid to invest in your business. If you need to pay $9.99 a month for a tool that's going to make a significant positive impact on your business, or if you just need to spend $10 the first month as a trial to see if it helps, and if it doesn't, cancel the tool, like, don't be afraid to. You also can deduct that against your profit when you file your annual taxes. Generally speaking, of course, I'm not an accountant, but generally speaking, that's how it works. So guys, that's a tip that, like, it was hard learned for me personally, and I'm not afraid to admit that. Guys, don't do this one. Don't ever stop learning. This applies to pretty much like every facet of life. And I'm only 32 years old, so I shouldn't be preaching to people like older than me, but like, you get what I'm saying here. I know a lot of you guys are older, some of you guys are younger. Don't stop learning, man. That's what life is all about. But also, like, we live in a weird time where, man, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but like right now there's a kind of like a war of information where they're trying to confuse people and make them not understand the difference between like narrative and facts, right? Narrative and data. So I always challenge you guys to be on the right side of that one. And if you don't know what the right side is, just think about it for a little bit, all right? Most of you guys, I think, do. All right, next one. Don't stop testing. Split testing, for instance. Running multiple creatives if you're running ads, right? You don't have to have the same standard ad a lot of times. It also depends on like how you're advertising, where you're advertising. It extends beyond just advertising. It can extend to, if you have a product listing on Amazon, switch up the primary image. See if one is performing better than others. You do get a little bit more data when you sell through Seller Central versus like Merch by Amazon, where you don't have control over most of these things. Split test like products, split test t-shirt colors that you're selling your designs on, split test pricing, split test, you know what I mean? There's so many different things you can test. But that's a good one. Pricing. Like if you're an Amazon merch seller and you made it this far, like split test selling at $19.99 versus $21.99 versus $17.99. Like I've seen shirts sell at $21.99 and not really felt like there was any change in the velocity of the sales between that and $19.99. You know, like I talked to my girlfriend Marielle. She sells on Merch by Amazon. She sells on Etsy. She loves charging those higher price points and getting those bigger royalties. All right, so you know, only you are going to figure out what works best for you. But the only real way to know and come from an informed perspective is to collect information, and you do that by testing. So I'm going to challenge you to run some tests. And guys, don't forget to have fun with your business. This is just one of those things that, like, I added this slide on because do you guys have friends where you see them every now and then, you're like, oh, what's up? How you been? And like, it's always the same thing, right? Like, oh yeah, everything's good, but like never have anything to say about like how their life's really going. And it's like, I've never been that guy. Like if you want to ask me how my life's going, now sometimes I know people don't actually care, so I'll just be like, same thing, oh yeah, everything's good, same old. But like if someone actually cares, like, yeah, like I'm excited to talk about like what I've been working on. Like it almost always relates to business in some way because this is what I spend the majority of my day doing. Like a lot of people spend the majority of their day at a 9-to-5 job that they don't actually care about. But here's the thing. If you're at that job to make money and you're making money to live, and you can make more money and spend less time to make that money by having your own business, why wouldn't you at least try? Most people never try, guys. You guys are already watching my video and probably subscribe to my channel, so thank you. I know that you're in that group that does try, and like all I'm really trying to share with you is a formula that worked for me. There's so many other ways to make money online. Don't forget to have some fun while you do it though. Like you don't have to like if print on demand isn't your thing, hey, no problem. It's all good. Just do something else. Don't give up though. Or but also there's a time where like it makes sense to give up. And there's no shame in doing that as long as you're not like completely throwing in the towel and like going back to your 9-to-5 job where the only guarantee is that you're going to get crushed by inflation because you just had a predetermined wage to essentially trade your time for money, and you're never going to get ahead in life doing that. Like you don't need to hear it from me. It's a guarantee. So don't forget to have fun, guys. That's an important one for me. All right, guys, thank you for watching this video. As I wrap it up, did just want to remind you, I wrote a full print-on-demand course that I'm constantly adding to, walking you through how I make 6-figure print-on-demand sales every single year, start to finish, how to start, scale, and automate your business. You will learn all of that inside. You can find out more. There's a link in the description. Thank you for watching, though, guys. Please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow with a new Etsy shop review. And it's actually going to be a really good one if anybody's interested in digital downloads and selling on Etsy. So, guys, I'll see you tomorrow.